Um, hey, so what are we, essentially? That was a question that bugged me for a hell of a long time. I wanted to explain, I wanted to have a reason for being. Um, and I'm going to turn this preview off because seeing my own face is really pissing me off. There, I can't see my own face, so I can't be distracted. Um, yeah, it took me a hell of a long time to get over that um, that this existence doesn't necessarily have any meaning for me or for anyone, really. I mean, we are all creatures of experience. We are all affected by the events that happen around us, by the people that are closest to us, and these shape how we think, how we feel, how we react. And then as we evolve with these um, experiences, so then the way that we've evolved affect how the experiences affect us, and so we change again. It's basically a constant shift. It's a constant evolution, and I believe that this really is one of the keys to this reality, is that there is never and there can never be definite answers to literally anything. Anything physical must be created from physical particles. It's law of physics, right? But what are those physical particles then created from? They must also be created from physical particles. You can't have a physical thing created from no physical thing. Like the other particles we were talking about, we're thinking about obviously are um, new, negative particles. So the massive big example being a black hole, which creates and disgorges this negative reality, which is a really it's a theory still, and in many senses it would make a lot of sense. But let's bring this back to our planet, our Earth, what we perceive of as reality and exist within. And obviously we don't have any black holes here. And then there's negative matter, which we're also looking into, which is essentially like on the flip side of everything physical, there's this non-physical, which must be there in order for it to be, and I agree with that. But then again, that non-physical is still something. It's not nothing. It's not literally nothing. So the point is that no matter where we go in this physical reality, everything is made up of more than one particle. So we're splitting the atom, we're splitting the neutrons, we're splitting everything. We're going down and down and down. There will be no end to this because everything can be split infinitely. And that's another thing that our minds find difficult to comprehend is infinity. Now, the reason why we might find this difficult to comprehend is because we exist in a reality in which there are defined, or we see defined, limitations. So we can't live infinitely, we can't grow infinitely, we can't see infinitely and move infinitely. There is no we can't experience infinite space. How could we if it's infinite? And yet we can perceive of it, but it doesn't make sense to us. I mean, does it really make sense that space can be infinite? If it were infinite, then every eventuality were possible. Yes, that's true, and that is feasible. But physically infinite? It would mean that there were no boundaries, and everything physical requires a boundary to exist within. Otherwise, it's not physical. And that boundary for reality is non-reality or nothing. So what I'm saying is that our universe may be potentially limitless in terms of what can be done with our inside our universe could be infinite, but it's not physically, spatially infinite. There must be edges, you could say, and this is like a massive area where it's like, what? How can you have an edge to space? Now, I tried to explain this in one of my last videos, but I think I was a bit incoherent, or maybe I didn't explain it so clearly. I'm going to try and explain it again now. As I say to you, everything physical must exist within a boundary of something to make it physical, right? So every cell has a cell wall. Every everything has a boundary. Everything real has a boundary, otherwise it would just dissipate into not real. So it's like everything physical, everything real manifests itself and has areas that it is manifested within. So our universe, being physical, must have boundaries, and it must exist within nothingness. Because in order to have one thing, you've got to have its opposite defining it, right? How do you understand something unless you've got something to compare it against as being not that thing? If we have infinite space, then it does not have anything to compare it with. There's just infinite space. It can't exist like that. What exists around infinite space is nothingness, like a pocket, right? But as I said to you earlier, our universe must be infinite, but it is not infinite in terms of space. It's infinite in terms of possibility, in terms of evolution, which also kind of technically means that it must be infinite in terms of space. If you want to go into that in terms, if everything's possible, if it has limitless, infinite possibility, then also it must have the possibility to exist a part of it, at least, in which it is physically infinite. But I don't believe that is our. Well, I can't not believe in that because it must exist at some point. That's the problem with our universe. Is it's like it has all these rules, but also by having these rules, it must have the ability to break these rules, and it must also have, or there must also exist, an area or another universe or the same universe but in a different point in which those rules don't apply, because otherwise those rules wouldn't exist. But this is interesting, right? In terms of limitless possibility within a limited space, which is our universe, as I tried to explain last time, it's all about creation and destruction. So there must be, at all the points, or if you look at black holes, perhaps certain points in our universe, places of creation and places of destruction. So that's what's going on, basically. But also, our universe is within this pocket of nothingness, of unreality. Now, for this unreality to exist, it must also have reality around it. Now, if unreality is pocketing reality, then what's pocketing unreality? More reality, right? So, if we could then imagine it like this, here's our universe. And instead of just a pocket around it, it's like let's think of it like a jelly. So we put our universe, imagine our universe is a coin or something like that, we put it inside the jelly. Now the edges of that jelly, it can't end. Because we've got our universe being physical, the jelly being non-physical, so then what do we have? Physical again? Or neither? Could we have neither? It's also a possibility that there may be more than one physical universe within the jelly. So we've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, for example, because you get nice threes. And surrounding all of it is this unreality, which then means that there are multiple universes within the same pocket surrounding of unreality, which means that it's possible at some point to travel between those different universes. I think I'll stop it there.